Dear Radiant Leo, let me ask you something. What if I told you that today, right now, you're standing at the edge of a financial turning point that could rewrite your entire story? That's not an exaggeration. And no, your arrival here is not random. The universe doesn't deal in coincidences. You were drawn here for a reason. This moment, this message, this energy is all for you. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, where astrology meets purpose, and where every cosmic whisper is a call to awaken the power already within you. If this video found you especially on or around the 14th, trust that the message about to unfold is exactly what your higher self has been trying to show you. This is not just a horoscope. This is a shift. Because Leo, something extraordinary is in motion. There is a big surprise approaching. A sudden change in fortune. A rainfall of money, yes. A literal energetic downpour of abundance is heading straight for you. This isn't just about material wealth. It's about alignment. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that not only attracts blessings but knows how to own them fully. Let's talk about the 14th. In numerology, 1 + 4 = 5, the number of dynamic change, momentum, and breakthrough. The 14th is cosmically charged for financial awakenings and self-valuation. In Western astrology, this energy aligns with the second house, the house of personal worth, assets, and abundance. So if you've been waiting for something to shift your income, your mindset, your sense of empowerment, know this: the wheel is turning in your favor. You may receive a payment you weren't expecting. A refund, a bonus, a deal, or a financial opening you never saw coming. And even more powerful than that, you may receive clarity about your true worth, about what you're ready to create and claim. Because abundance isn't just money. It's the belief that you are worth more than you've allowed yourself to receive. So I invite you now, from your brilliant Leo heart, to take a moment and affirm your readiness. Leave a comment below and tell me, what angel number or repeating sign has been following you lately? Or simply write, I'm ready to receive. This isn't just a ritual, it's a signal to the universe that you are engaged, aligned, and receptive. Before we dive deeper into your cards and cosmic insights, let me take just a moment to express something very important. Thank you. Truly. For being here. For watching. For every like, every comment, and every subscription. Your energy fuels this channel, and your presence allows us to continue sharing transformational guidance with those who are ready to receive it. And I promise you, dear Leo, you're going to want to stay with me until the very end of this reading, because what the universe is preparing to reveal isn't just timely, it's absolutely breathtaking. Now tell me, my powerful, loyal, magnetic Leos, what did you feel the moment you clicked on this video? What inside you knew this message was yours? Let's find out together. Imagine, dear Leo, walking beneath a sky that has felt overcast for far too long, waiting, hoping, wondering if the sun will ever break through again. But instead of sunlight, something else arrives, a rain, soft at first, then steady, rhythmic, golden. Not water, but wealth. Not storm, but blessing. This is what it feels like when the energy of fortune changes direction, and today, that current is turning toward you. The Wheel of Fortune, one of the core tarot cards guiding this moment, reminds us that life is not static. It breathes, pulses, moves. What feels fixed is only temporary. what feels uncertain can suddenly become solid. And when this will begins to turn in your favor, you don't need to chase it, you simply need to stand in alignment and allow. The presence of the Ace of Pentacles confirms this shift is not only energetic but tangible. This is not a vague promise of prosperity, it's a grounded, real-world offering. Something may be placed in your hands, in your account, in your reality. A payment. A raise. A long-lost refund. A new stream of income. Something that reminds you that value flows in many forms and that you, Leo, are finally ready to receive it. The Six of Wands riding beside these cards celebrates this moment not only as fortunate but as victorious. This isn't just luck falling into your lap. This is a reward that echoes your past efforts. Recognition of how long you've held your head high, even when unseen. Celebration of how you've shown up with courage and consistency, even when results lagged behind intention. And now, the universe sends something your way not because you begged or forced it, but because you aligned with it. But let's go deeper, beyond the symbols. Why does this surprise abundance come now? In moments of surrender, when we stop gripping so tightly to control, the flow becomes accessible. Just like water will not enter a clenched fist, wealth both internal and external needs space to land. And so part of your task is to open. Gently. Trustingly. Without the desperation of craving, but with the peace of readiness. When financial blessings arrive, many of us immediately think, how do I keep this from disappearing? That fear contracts the energy that just expanded. Instead, take a breath. Pause. Receive. Let gratitude move through your body like warm light. Then, from that space of spaciousness, consider your next step. Rather than rushing to spend, choose to nurture. Set aside a portion not out of scarcity, but out of self-respect. Call it your personal growth fund, your creative reserve, or your sacred savings. Not every dollar needs a job. Some simply need a place to rest and multiply. There's an ancient teaching that says when you cultivate awareness of what is already present, more will arrive not because you manipulated the world, but because you became awake to it. One powerful way to embody this awareness is to keep a simple list, what I received this week. It might include a gift, a compliment, a refund, or even a lucky break. Over time, this becomes your personal proof. The universe doesn't forget you. So, Leo, if you've ever had a moment where something beautiful and unexpected showed up, just into me, a friend offering support, a payment you didn't plan for, a client saying yes when you were about to give up, share it. Say it aloud. Leave it in the comments. Affirm that rain has touched you before and it can again. Even now. Especially now. Because fortune, like rain, falls where the heart is open. And right now, yours is blooming wide. Sometimes, Leo, the most powerful roar is the one that happens in silence. After the golden rainfall of abundance begins to settle, there comes a softer, quieter moment, one that asks not for effort, but for stillness. You've been carrying more than most people realize. Responsibilities. Expectations. The invisible weight of staying strong. And while your fire burns bright, even the sun eventually sets to restore its own light. This is that sacred pause. The Four of Swords invites you into intentional retreat. Not to abandon your goals, not to give up, but to recover your clarity and reconnect with your strength. The energy here is not passive, it's purposeful. This is the rest that heals, not the escape that hides. If your mind has been overworked and your body undernourished, you may have felt a fog rolling in known that blurs not only your vision but your sense of worth. And yet, even fog carries moisture. Even fog is part of the atmosphere that feeds life. So let it be. Let yourself not know for a moment. Let yourself lie down inside the question and simply breathe. The Ten of Wands shows us a moment where you've taken on too much, likely out of care, duty, or a desire to prove that you can handle it all. But even the strongest lion must eventually set down the burden and return to its den. The path forward isn't always about doing more, sometimes it's about doing less with greater attention. You are not lazy for needing a break. You are wise for knowing when your flame needs to be rekindled. In traditions that teach mindfulness and right effort, there's a deep understanding that right timing matters just as much as right action. There are seasons for pushing, and there are seasons for preparing. A leaf does not force itself to bloom in winter. It rests. It draws nutrients quietly from the roots. It waits. And when the time is right, it emerges again stronger, brighter, softer. You, too, are in a season of regathering. And that means giving your body the care it has been silently asking for. Magnesium and vitamin B support the nervous system and help replenish what's been depleted through stress. A warm cup of water in the morning isn't just hydration, it's a gentle ritual of waking up your inner rhythm. Stretching your shoulders, massaging your neck, placing your phone aside for one quiet afternoon, these aren't indulgences. They're invitations. Each small act is a signal to your system that it is safe to rest, and from that rest, clarity will return. If you feel guilty for slowing down, remember this: your value is not tied to how productive you are. It is felt in your presence, in your energy, in the way your light touches others, not in how many tasks you've checked off. Lions are not meant to run all day. They move with grace, with focus, with purpose. And when they pause, they do so fully, with trust in the wisdom of stillness. So if the noise of the world feels louder than usual, if your energy feels scattered, if your joy has dimmed just a little, this is your reminder to retreat, not because you're weak but because your next rise will require strength that can only come from within. Let this be your permission to breathe, deeply and without guilt. Not because you need to escape, but because you are preparing to return with focus, fire, and a roar that can move mountains. After you've allowed yourself to pause, to rest and realign with your inner rhythm, you may notice something remarkable beginning to rise, not outside you, but from within. It is not the world that changes first. It is your presence. Your energy begins to shift like the sun slowly rising over a quiet horizon, gentle but unstoppable. And this is where your power lives, Leo, not in pushing or proving, but in being. Because the truth is, you are not merely chasing light. You are the light. The Sun card, radiant and bold, reflects your truest essence. It doesn't ask permission to shine. It simply exists, and by existing, it illuminates everything it touches. When the sun appears in a reading, it's more than just a positive omen, it's a confirmation. A reminder that clarity, joy, and abundance are not rewards you earn after doing enough, but natural results of living in alignment with who you already are. The light you seek is not somewhere far away, it's generated from the core of your being. And when you remember that, the world begins to respond in ways that seem almost magical. That's where the magician steps in. This archetype represents manifestation in its purest form, the ability to turn ideas into reality by aligning thought, word, and action. But there's a secret here. The magician doesn't force things to happen. He doesn't control outcomes. He simply channels what already exists. And so do you. Every choice you make, every emotion you feed, every word you speak carries a frequency. And that frequency is what shapes your reality. From a numerology perspective, the number 19 carries a special energy. It combines the independence and initiative of 1 with the compassion and completion of 9. Together, they signal a cycle ending and a new one beginning, led by your own power. Not external validation. Not borrowed confidence. Your light. Your focus. Your energy. This is why practices rooted in daily awareness become so important right now. Not as rules, but as rituals. Simple, intentional moments that recalibrate your frequency. When you wake up in the morning and declare, "I attract wealth, opportunity, and the right people at the right time," you're not just reciting empty words. You're tuning your inner magnet. You're reminding every cell in your body that it is safe to expect good things. That it is safe to be open. And that it is possible to receive without guilt. In certain traditions of mindful living, we are taught that where attention goes, energy flows. So ask yourself gently, what do I want to feed today? The fear that I'm not enough, or the belief that I am already becoming who I need to be? When you cultivate satisfaction in this very moment, not from complacency, but from appreciation, you shift everything. Gratitude becomes a bridge, a channel. And joy, no matter how quiet, becomes a frequency that draws more of what supports it. Leo, you don't need to chase luck. You are not waiting for some external force to come and save you. The truth is, you are the lighthouse in the middle of this energetic ocean, and luck, like all energy, is drawn towards stability, authenticity, and light. You don't have to shine perfectly. You just have to remember that your radiance was never lost, only momentarily forgotten. So let this be the chapter where you stop looking outside for signs, and start becoming the signal. Let your energy do the attracting. Let your joy be the magnet. You were never meant to follow the path of others. You were meant to blaze your own, and trust that the right people, the right support, and the right opportunities will find you exactly when you're ready to receive them. When your inner light begins to shine with renewed clarity, when you remember that your worth is not something you earn, but something you embody, you naturally begin to shift the kind of energy you attract. After reconnecting with your source of power, you become a kind of signal. You stop chasing, and you start magnetizing. And it's in this precise state of calm receptivity that the most fated meetings occur. Because what finds you in your most authentic state is never random. It is the resonance of alignment. The Lover's card, often misunderstood as being solely about romantic love, speaks much more deeply to meaningful choices and soul-level connections. It invites you to look at where your values align, not only with others but within yourself. When you are at peace with your own contradictions, your desires and your fears, your ambition and your need for rest, you become clearer in your relationships. And from that clarity, someone may enter your path. Not as a distraction, but as a mirror. As a catalyst. as a reminder that we are never truly meant to do everything alone. The presence of the Knight of Cups reinforces this beautifully. This is the messenger of heartfelt intentions. It could arrive in the form of a friend, a potential partner, a guide, or even someone who seems minor at first but whose influence opens an unexpected doorway. Whether this person offers emotional support or brings with them a tangible opportunity, they're coming toward you now because you're finally ready to meet them without distortion. No masks. No pretending. Just recognition. What's most powerful is that this meeting, this union, romantic or not, is not one-sided. It brings with it a sense of shared purpose. The Three of Pentacles appears here to show that you are not only being supported, but also being seen for your unique skills, your voice, your essence. Perhaps someone has quietly admired your consistency, your wisdom, your creative energy, and now they're ready to collaborate, to invest, or to walk beside you in some significant way. This isn't about fleeting chemistry. This is about foundation. Co-creation. Growth that benefits both sides. There is a quiet teaching in the practice of deep presence, that when we stop asking, "Who is meant to be with me?" and instead begin to live as though we are already complete, the right people naturally appear, not to fill us, but to join us. These are the soul agreements formed in silence and fulfilled through mutual respect and timing. Not everyone who crosses our path is meant to stay. But there are a few whose arrival coincides so perfectly with our inner season that their presence feels like an answer to a question we didn't know we were asking. This is that kind of moment, Leo. The shift in your energy, the release of what no longer serves, and the rise of your true self has created space. Into that space, something or someone can now enter. Be it a business partner, a romantic presence, or a trusted mentor, they come not to rescue, but to reflect what you've cultivated. That's why it's often said, when you're in harmony with yourself, you meet people who are in harmony with your future. So if you've recently felt a flutter in your heart for someone new, or a surprising connection that feels too aligned to ignore, trust that timing. Observe it gently. Let it unfold without urgency. Because the ones who arrive at the precise moment your energy aligns, those are the ones who often stay the longest. Not because you need them, but because they belong in the next chapter you are now ready to write. After such profound emotional openings, after reconnecting with your light, witnessing new connections arrive, and allowing space for aligned partnerships, what comes next is not always another external blessing. Sometimes, what arrives is a deeper seeing. A moment of inner lightening. A sudden slice of clarity that makes you pause and whisper, "Now I understand." This is not the kind of truth that screams or breaks. It is the kind that unveils, like morning mist slowly dissolving to reveal what was always there. And when it arrives, it does not come to judge, it comes to set you free. The appearance of the Justice card signals a moment of reckoning, but not punishment. It is a recalibration. A return to equilibrium after imbalance. If you've been carrying questions, weighing choices, or quietly sensing something wasn't quite right, this is the energy that brings light to the shadows. Not to expose you, but to empower you. When justice shows up beside the moon and the Ace of Swords, the message is clear. What was once obscured will now be seen. What felt uncertain will soon feel unshakable. This is the unveiling of truth, not just about others, but also about yourself. Sometimes we delay making decisions because the answers are buried beneath layers of conditioning, fear, or hope. But insight, when it comes, is rarely loud. It often feels like a breath, a whisper, a knowing that arrives without needing to explain itself. And in that moment, something within you relaxes. You see more clearly not because the outside world changed, but because your lens did. The moon speaks to these hidden layers, the illusions we build, the fears we inherit, the projections we place onto situations and people. It is the part of us that moves in cycles, that grows and fades and grows again. So when this card appears with the Ace of Swords, it signals not just the rising of truth, but the cutting through of illusion. You may finally realize which relationships nourish you and which only deplete you. You may see that a decision you feared making was never as complicated as your doubt made it seem. Or perhaps you notice that the version of yourself you've been defending is no longer the version you truly are. In the teachings of inner stillness, it's said that clarity comes not from seeking more answers, but from asking better questions. One such question is this: what am I pretending not to see? Another: if I trusted myself fully, what would I choose today? These questions don't demand immediate answers. They invite presence. They open the door for truth to walk in on its own timing. And with that truth comes release. The kind of release that allows you to exhale deeply and stop trying to control what isn't yours to hold. The kind of release that lets you forgive yourself or others not because you condone what happened, but because you are tired of dragging it forward. There is peace in letting what is true be true. Even if it's uncomfortable. Even if it changes things. Especially then. So if you've been sensing a shift lately, if something you've long avoided or questioned is starting to feel clearer, more solid, trust that. Don't rush it. Let it land gently. Let the truth arrive like the sunrise, consistent, inevitable, and illuminating everything in its path. And when it does, you won't need to fight for clarity. You'll feel it settle in your body, quiet and sure. If you feel this unfolding, if you've seen something in your life become unmistakably clear recently, name it. Write it in the comments. Claim your awareness. Say, I see it now. Because sometimes, saying it aloud is the first act of liberation. And the truth, once seen, cannot be unseen. It can only guide you forward. And now, Leo, as we arrive at the close of this journey together, take a moment to gently breathe into everything that has just unfolded. Let each insight settle not just in your mind, but in your heart, in that quiet space where real change begins. You've just moved through a reading rich in possibility, and whether you realize it or not, something inside you is already shifting. The universe isn't waiting to bless you someday, it's responding to your energy right now. You've seen it, the promise of a financial shift, a rainfall of abundance you didn't expect but deeply deserve. You've been reminded that healing doesn't come from doing more, but from pausing with intention, from resting not as retreat, but as preparation for the next leap forward. You've remembered your own light, the power that isn't dependent on what happens around you, but radiates from within you. You felt the quiet echo of destined connections on the horizon, someone or something approaching to mirror your growth and walk with you for a sacred stretch of the path. And perhaps most profoundly, you've stood face to face with clarity. A truth that may have once felt too big to look at now reveals itself as the key to your next chapter. So now, I gently ask you, which part of this message spoke to you the loudest? Was it the reminder of your worth? The nudge to slow down? The invitation to open up to help? Or was it the feeling that you are no longer lost, but simply being repositioned? Whatever it was, hold it close. Let it breathe. Let it lead you. Because here's what I want you to know, truly and deeply you are not just lucky. You are the reason luck knows where to land. You are the magnet. The lighthouse. The co-creator of the energy that's now shifting in your favor. And when you begin to live with that knowing, when you start each day with clarity and intention, you stop waiting for magic and start living it. Let this be more than a moment of inspiration. Let it become a gentle practice. What if tomorrow morning, you set aside just 5 minutes to write a single line? I am ready to receive what is already mine. What if you gave yourself permission to pause once a week, to breathe, to listen, to ask your heart what it needs most? What if you looked at your challenges not as blocks, but as teachers? What would your life begin to feel like then? And now, I'd love to hear from you. What truth has recently become clear in your life? What small sign has followed you? What angel number, repeated symbol, or quiet knowing has tapped on your shoulder? Leave it in the comments below. Share it, not just for yourself, but for the next soul who finds this video and needs to hear that they're not alone on this path. Your voice matters here. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and sharing it with someone who may also be stepping into their light. Every interaction supports this space, eternal mindfulness, where we come together not just to seek answers, but to remember our own wisdom. From my heart to yours, thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for your presence, your openness, and your trust. May the clarity you've received today guide your next steps. May your energy attract all that aligns with your worth. And may you remember you don't have to chase your destiny. When you're in alignment, it finds you. Until next time, take care of your light, Leo. You were never meant to dim.